Hi, I'm Aaron Suttles, Director of Content for Yea Alabama. We're back for another half-hour Huddle, our weekly installment, exclusive access to the student athletes at the University of Alabama. Today, we welcome in Grant Nelson. But before we get to that, as always, we'd like to take care of a couple of housekeeping items. You may not know this because people are probably trying to squeeze in last-minute vacations or getting your kids ready to go back to school. But the University of Alabama football team had its first practice of fall practice today, and we had our first Nick Saban press conference. Happy to report that no one got yelled at today. No rants on Nick Saban's first day. Is he getting old, or is it just he's getting more mellow, or he's just getting better questions? I don't know the answer to that, but I imagine it won't be long before we have a major Nick Saban meltdown. Something we all look forward to in our pastime. I'm sure you've watched YouTube and searched out your favorite Nick Saban rant. But it won't be long until we have live Alabama sports to talk about. First game of the year coming up September 2nd against Middle Tennessee State. And of course, this week we have Fan Day on Saturday, August 5th at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I trust you know about that, and you're subscribers to Yea Alabama, which means you get exclusive access to autographs of Nick Saban, the coaching staff, and the team. So make sure you pick your favorite 12-year-old. It's you get one guest with you if they're 12 or younger, and you go down to Bryant-Denny Stadium and you pick up some autographs of your favorite Alabama football players. I have been asking my Gump friends who they think, aside from Coach Saban, who they think the longest autograph line will be for, because it's normally a quarterback, but there's no incumbent quarterback this year, and there's no guaranteed starter this year. So I'm wondering if it's going to be Kool-Aid. Will it be Kool-Aid McKinstry? Will he have the longest line? He's sort of my vote, but I'm looking forward to getting there on Saturday and seeing for myself. You should have gotten already emailed to you a know before you go list that includes all the instructions going out for Saturday and the Fan Day, and we'll have more. I think we're going to send another one through social media, maybe another email, but we'll be following up with the know before you go, so you're confident for Saturday. But bring your sunscreen. It's supposed to be in the mid to high 90s. As always, make sure you're following our social media channels. Make sure you're checking out the merch. So if you come Saturday and you got some Yea Alabama merch, pop that hat on your head. Bring your T-shirt. Maybe you have your T-shirt signed. I don't want to plan out your day for you, but make sure that you got sunscreen and your Yea Alabama merch for Saturday's Fan Day. And with that, we bring in Alabama basketball's newest addition, a transfer, Mr. Grant Nelson, who's joining us from his home state in North Dakota. After a busy day of travel, Grant was gracious enough to give us 30 minutes of his time. Grant, man, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Good to be here.
So we've heard about this summer various sort of nightmares of people traveling across the country. I hope that you didn't have any delays in your travel today.
None today, surprisingly. It feels like the luck has been against me, like the past couple times I've traveled, but today was smooth. It was nice. No delays, nothing.
What's your worst? You said the luck has been against you. What's been your worst travel story?
I mean, on my visit to Alabama, I'm trying to think. It was delayed originally, and then halfway through the flight, we had to go stop in St. Louis, Missouri. Just like I don't even know what for. So we all got off the plane, we stopped there, and then we got in that night, I think at like 1 a.m. or something, to Tuscaloosa. So yeah, that wasn't the best.
So you got a little bit of a break. You've been in Tuscaloosa, but now you're back in North Dakota. What are you going to do with these precious days off?
Actually, I won't be in North Dakota long. I'm going to Oregon on the 7th. I got like a Nike camp, or I'm not really sure what it is. I kind of just heard about it and said I'm in. So yeah, I'm going there the 7th to 11th, and then after that, I'll probably go home until the 18th. Just hang out with family, get in the gym, just the normal.
All right. Well, let's get to a couple of questions from our Yea Alabama subscribers. The first one up from Trey wants to know, you had options when you transferred. Why? What was it about Alabama? Why Alabama?
I mean, it was everything. I mean, a spectacular coach, team. I think a lot that went into it was the player development for me and where I'll be like 10 months from now, going into next year's draft, or the next year's like pre-draft combine. So I think that had a lot to do with it, the developmental aspect. I mean, the coaches, they reached out to me right away. I liked them all. My brother helped me through this process. He liked them the most. And then it kind of solidified on my visit when I just saw everything came to life. I mean, I just felt it was the right fit, me and my family.
So take us behind the scenes. What does a Nate Oates recruiting pitch look like? What's he selling you on?
I mean, he runs probably one of the best offenses in college basketball, I think. Uh, Fast paced. I mean, he just did a great job. Him and Ryan Panome, he was one of the main guys that recruited me here. I mean, I think they just did a great job with my player development, how they showed what I was going to do, what I have been doing, and then what I'm going to do this next season, and the things I'm going to work on to prepare for this next season. Um, but I mean, it was just him being genuine, him being a great guy that really brought me in.
If you have any questions for Grant that you haven't already submitted, make sure you click on that comment button beneath the video. You can get questions in as we're going live. I don't know how active you are or not, Grant, on social media, but I do know around the time when your name was out there about where you were going to go, fans were not shy about offering their advice. Does that become overwhelming, or is there a way to block that out? Are you active on social media?
I mean, I feel like most of it's on Twitter, and I'm not on Twitter. I mean, I think I made an account like last year, but I lost like I can't get back in, so I just didn't bother trying to get another account. So I mean, some people would kind of like send me some things they saw on Twitter, and like they'd show me if I was with them. But I mean, it doesn't bother me. I look at it more as like it's just funny. Some
Yeah.
people like what they say.
Is it flattering, or has it become a nuisance at some point?
I mean, neither really. It's just, I mean, sometimes it depends what it is, really. I mean, if they're saying like crazy things, obviously, I'm just like, oh, but I don't really take it to heart. But I mean, if they're saying good things, I'm just like, okay, yeah. Like, I feel like Alabama fans, for the most part, were saying some pretty good things.
That's good advice for all of us. Just block out the crazy things people say and
Yeah.
take it in stride on the good stuff. Let's get another question in here coming from Richard. How different is the offense at Alabama versus North Dakota's offense?
The pace is probably the biggest difference. I mean, but overall, it's more of like an NBA offense, I think, where it's not a true big. Where at North Dakota State, it was more inside out. We had a true big that was kind of in the lane all the time. Um, I mean, I think here it's a lot more pick and roll, a lot more like coming off single screens when you don't have the ball. So I like the pace part of it. I think I can show like my skill set a little more coming off ball screens in Alabama's offense, which I'm excited to do.
Yeah. You've mentioned that pace now a couple times. Is there a way to simulate that pace? Are you prepared for that pace? Do you guys have early conditioning tests to make sure that you're ready for that sort of pace?
I mean, I feel like we're all in pretty good shape just because we prepare a lot with like just full court drills, a lot of transition drills, and that kind of sets us up. But I mean, right now, I mean, our practices were only like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. So it was never anything too crazy, but our teams we stayed in pretty good condition.
Yeah.
Like, we were never exhausted at practice. So I think it's more just like being in basketball shape is different than like track shape. Whereas a lot of coaches think you got to run your guys or they're going to be tired. But I mean, if you play enough basketball and you go hard for like 10 minutes instead of making them sprint for 3 minutes, I feel like you get in like more of a basketball shape.
There you go. Let's grab another question here. This one coming from Kelly. What do you bring to this Alabama basketball team?
First of all, I think my rebounding ability. I mean, I know everyone can shoot, but just being in there to clean up, that's something I've always been pretty good at since high school. I block shots, and then I think I could pretty much take advantage of any matchup, whether it's a big guarding me on the perimeter or a smaller guy, I could, take him down low, playing that dunker spot.
I think you won some fans right there with rebounding. That last year's Alabama basketball team was pretty good at rebounding, so you're already winning fans here. Another question here. This one coming from Jimmy. What skills are you working on to improve this summer?
I'm doing a lot with my shot development. There's a lot. I didn't even realize my shot was that messed up, and then, I mean, I was doing a lot with the pre-draft stuff. I was out in Santa Barbara, California, and I had a great group there. I worked with Packy Turner. He's a trainer that works for WME. But I worked a lot on my shot, and then when I got here, it was even more just narrowing my base a little bit, like how I followed through. So that's been probably the main thing, and then decision making, coming off ball screens. That's another big thing. Being able to play every position, and just like kind of tightening up my handle, locking in those skills.
When you've reached a certain level of basketball, obviously, and it served you well, you've gotten to this point with a certain shot. Is there any fear at all about messing with what's worked in terms of your shot? When you start breaking it down and doing a different shot, is there fear that? How long does it take you to trust that?
It's more like a feel thing where if like they're asking me to change something and I feel like it's not helping, like I'll try it initially, but if I feel like it's not helping, I'll kind of tell them like, hey, this doesn't feel good. Like, because everyone's shot is going to be different. It's a feel thing, but they've been doing it for so long. They know what works. They watch so much film, more than I've ever watched. So I think I trust what they say, and it has been working, especially this summer. I've been shooting it a lot better, so I'm gonna keep listening to them.
How many reps does it take that muscle memory to build? And on top of that, how many shots do you try to get up a day?
I'm not even sure right now. Right now it's a lot of form shooting closer to the rim, but usually it's different. Out of season, I try to get up like a good 750 shots, and then when I'm in season, it's a little less.
All right, let's grab another question here. Oh, Richard, right to the basketball part. Wants to dig in deep. Wants some breaking news. Are you going to play power forward or center next year?
It's looking like right now I'm gonna be playing everywhere. It's kind of positionless, I feel.
Right.
That's what I love about this offense. I could kind of float out to the perimeter. I could play in the dunker spot. I could set screens, come off screens. So, that's what I love about it. And I'm looking forward to it.
Let's grab another question here. Thomas wants to know, I know it's early, but what's your impressions of this year's team so far?
Very skilled. Coming from a mid-major, we had talent, but I think the athleticism is like just completely different. Everyone here can shoot. Everyone here can jump out the gym, which is crazy to see at practice some days, just a guard getting up. But my first impression when I got here, I knew these guys were good. I knew that they could play, and we're an older team. I feel like we're pretty diverse actually, but we got a lot of people who have played at mid majors before, like a couple transfers, and then a lot of freshmen. So I think it'll be a really good group.
Yeah. What's the reaction of the team been to you? Have they sort of welcomed you? Has there been any jealousy, or that you're going to take some minutes away from guys, or have they kind of thrown their arms around you?
No, they've thrown their arms around me. No jealousy. Ever since I entered the portal, I think JQ. He transferred, but like as soon as I entered, he sent me a text and he's like, "Yo, you got to come to Alabama." And then, everyone was super welcoming on my visit, and it was just no jealousy whatsoever, and it's been fun to be part of.
Now you're a rebounder, you're a shooter. You sort of remind me of, at least in those skill sets, of a guy Alabama had last year who was a really good rebounder in stretch. They called him Noah Clowney. Did you get a chance to watch him play, and how would you compare your game to his?
Yeah, I watched a little bit. more in the tournament. But I mean, like you said, rebounding abilities. I think he was a really good young talent, and he's got very high potential. So I mean, I think I could come in and kind of play his role where I'll come in, get rebounds, outwork everyone, make the right plays, and I feel I'll fit in this style of play very well, just because there are guys who have done it before me who do have like similar skills and skill sets as me. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really good fit.
Let's grab another question. This one coming from Jimmy. Who has been the toughest player to guard in practice so far, and who has guarded you the toughest?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I think it's tougher for me to guard guards because
Right.
I mean, I'm not as good of a perimeter guarder where I could block shots better. So I mean, probably Aaron Estrada. He he's quick. He's got a deep bag. So yeah, he can score. He's good. Um, but the person who's guarded me the best, um, Chris Parker. He's got pretty good defense. I mean, Nick Pringle he hasn't guarded me much because he's usually guarding the other big, but when he does guard me, he's physical. And then I mean, everyone can guard, which is nice.
Well, actually, Richard here wants to know what teammates do you anticipate having a big year?
It's hard to tell right now, but I mean, Mark Sears, he's coming off a great year. I know he's comfortable in this offense. I know he can score. So I feel like him, Nick Pringle, the returners, Riley Griffin, they'll all have great years. But I mean, just coming in, it seems like everyone has something to prove at practice. So I think everyone just goes out and it's a different person, like leading practice and scoring, or leading practice and like we call it blue collar points. It's like
Right.
the person whoever like makes the best plays and like the hardworking plays. So I mean, I think it could be anyone at any given time.
What do you sense? This team had the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Didn't end like they wanted it to. From the guys that have returned from that team, what's the sense of their hunger, of their motivation coming off last year?
Yeah, actually, like one of my first weeks here, they were talking about how big of a difference it was from years where they weren't like having the success they had last year, and how like it's like nothing compares to that really in like basketball, where if you're winning games and you're the best in the country, I mean it's just something different. So I mean they've kind of just talked on that, how they expect this team to be just as good, if not better, just because like I mean I think we are way bigger than that team was last year. It's hard to tell right now how we'll fit together, but I mean I think this group has a lot to learn, and I think we're going to be really good.
All right, we got a comment coming in from Ben George. He wants to know who would win a dunk contest on this year's team, and who would win the 3-point shootout.
Man, dunk contest. I think I would win the dunk contest. um, Either me or Sam, the freshman. He can get up. It's kind of surprised me the first time I saw him. But I think either me or Sam, and then a 3-point contest. That's tough. Latrell Wrightsell or Mark Sears, I'd say.
So you weren't shy about you're staking your claim to the dunk contest. So do you have a go-to? Do you keep a couple in the back pocket? I'm sure you work on it when you're bored and in the gym. So what's your go-to?
It's like it's like between the legs, but you like pound it, like you bounce it on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably my best dunk. And then, I mean, I could do behind the back, between the legs. Those are probably my best.
Yeah. Tall guy problems, right? You can just dunk, and you have a lot more available to you than the rest of us mere mortals. I do think you've excited the fan base again, talking about Sam and his the spring he's got. So we're really looking forward to seeing him. Let's grab another question now. This one coming from Who do we have here? Ashley wants to know if you had to play another sport, what do you think you would be best at?
I did track in high school. I did high jump. I was pretty good at that. I think what was it? My junior year, I took seventh at state. So I mean, I like track. I did high jump, triple jump. I threw a little bit of javelin. My brother throws javelin right now. He's really good at that. Um, I think he was being recruited by Alabama too, which is crazy because he entered the portal at the same time, but he chose USC.
Have they measured your vertical?
Not here, but at the combine, I think it was like somewhere around 36 or 30. But they have like a live thing where it's like clipped on your shorts.
Yeah.
And I think my max vertical was like almost 38, like live, which was surprising to me.
So what he's saying is we can get used to a lot of alley oops maybe this season.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what we joke. We had Nick Pringle has been on with us at Half Hour Huddle, and that's sort of his role. So are you gonna dethrone him as the alley oop king?
I don't know. He's out. It seems like he's always in the right spot. And I mean, I feel like he's got a little advantage. He's played with these guys a little longer than me, so I don't know.
Yeah. How much of a feel is an alley oop? I mean, obviously you got to have a lot of reps with your guards or whoever's throwing it, but you give a do you have a sign like a head nod or do you point like?
I mean, I think it's just like I think the guard will just throw it if they think you're open. Because I mean, I feel like the jump happens after the lob is already thrown. So I mean, if you see it in the air, you're gonna try to go up and dunk it. But it's more of like you just know if you're open, and if they like drag the other guy like off a ball screen or something, you just know if they're gonna throw it.
All right, let's go back to the subscriber questions. Brock wants to know what's made Alabama home for you.
I mean, everything. It's been so welcoming everywhere I go. I mean, even before I committed, we were in the airport. I think I was wearing an Alabama t-shirt and everyone's saying Roll Tide, which was crazy. I mean, it's just everywhere you go, I think it's just like a great fan base. Everyone is just so supportive of the athletics. So I mean, it's just been everything everywhere I go.
That's awesome. All right, up next, Jimmy wants to know: have you adjusted to the hot weather here? How about the food down here? And have you had the ribs at Archibald's yet?
The weather, I'll start with. I've not adjusted to. It seems like every time I go outside, I'm already soaking with sweat. I mean, it gets hot in North Dakota. It gets like 100, maybe like once a year though. Nothing compared to Tuscaloosa, but I mean, the humidity is what gets me. But the food, I mean, I've had a couple places. They've all been really good. I ate at Chuck's last night with a recruit, and we ate at Chop House the night before. Those are probably my two favorites so far. I've not had ribs at what's it called? Archibald's.
Archibald's. Yeah.
I haven't yet. I got to try that though.
With Alabama, you'll learn that the ribs there are they have their own reputation. So
yeah, I've had some ribs at what's it called? Jim and Nick's.
yeah.
Yeah, they got some pretty good food too. I've been trying to try everything since I've been down there.
Sure. So we've asked about the heat. So naturally, you being from North Dakota, Tyler wants to know what's the coldest day you've experienced from up there, and can you compare the two? Like you've now experienced like walking out of your door and you're just drenched in sweat and you haven't done anything, but you've also probably walked out your door and frozen to death. So what's the cold like up there?
It's brutal. It's terrible. I think the coldest I've ever, I mean, I've lived here my whole life, so I'm not really sure, but I know sometimes it's like with the wind chill, it's been like above -50. Yeah. I think we're like the only state where it could be like the difference of weather can be between 100 degrees, which, yeah, it's terrible. It's like, it doesn't compare. I feel like I could go out in the heat any day, but once it gets cold, like you can't even go outside.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And maybe just because I'm an Alabama boy, but I'd rather deal with the heat. I know
Yeah,
how to deal with the heat. I couldn't deal with the cold like that. So when you have a stretch of weather like that, are you just not going outside? I mean,
yeah, I'm staying inside for sure. I mean, so they wouldn't like usually if it was just cold, they wouldn't cancel like school or anything. It was more if it was like a blizzard, but those days were the worst.
well,
When it,
you'll learn here. We occasionally get a little bit of a dusting of snow. We don't have the equipment for our roads, so everything shuts down. Like
oh,
we get any ice or snow, we don't have the ability to drive in it. It shuts the entire state down. So
yeah, that's what Coach Oates was telling me. Like when he first got here, because he's originally from Wisconsin, I think, and he coached in Buffalo. So
yeah,
he's obviously like been in the cold, but he said when he got here, he said like they shut down everything and like everyone's wearing like winter jackets when it's like 60 degrees, so, or
we're
like 50
soft.
degrees, and I'm like, what?
We're
It's like
soft, man. All right, we got some more questions. Let's get through them. Emily wants to know who is your funniest teammate.
Nick Pringle, probably. I mean, he kind of just says whatever's on his mind. uh, him and Max. I think Max is pretty funny. But I mean, everyone's got a sense of humor. I think those two just talk the most.
I love it. You always got to have a guy in the locker room guy. Lauren wants to know who's the best trash talker on the team.
Man,
Not
I don't know if he's the best.
Javon would have been, but he's
Yeah,
gone now. So who's
that's
taking?
what I heard. No, I don't know if he's the best, but he talks the most is Nick. Um, he's, I mean, I don't know if it's trash talk or if he's just complaining. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's probably Nick. He's pretty good at trash talking.
All right. Let's see. Coleman wants to know: do you have a favorite spot on the floor to shoot? And if so, what is it?
Top of the key. I mean, that's probably what I work on the most, I feel like. And that's just the most comfortable for me. I mean, I've started to like the corners a little more. Just I feel like something about the corners is just nice. It's a little shorter too.
Everybody likes it because it's a little shorter, but
Yeah.
depth perception will get you there if you're not.
Mhm.
Actually.
You
All
don't
right.
get the lucky bounce off the backboard sometimes.
May wants to know: do you have any hobbies outside of basketball?
Yeah. I like to fish. I like to do pretty much any lake activity. I'm from a town called Devil's Lake, and growing up, that's like pretty much all I did was either go fishing or be on the lake with my friends or my family. So I mean, like anything like wakeboarding, wake surfing, tubing, anything like that.
Do you do ice fishing?
I don't. Everyone else in my hometown does, but my family never really did.
I'm with you. Too cold for that nonsense. All right. Let's see. Lauren wants to know: what is your go-to guilty pleasure song? Like, do you have a song like that you would listen to in your car by yourself? But if your teammate got in with you, you would never play that song.
Um, I mean, I think it's like anything from Zach Bryan. I like country music.
Okay.
I just recently started liking country music. I didn't growing up, but I mean, just this past like 2 years, I just recently got into country music, and Zach Bryan is I listen to him a
Was
lot.
it meant to be that you ended up with
No,
at Alabama? Country music, and as Masood just said, there's nothing wrong with Zach Bryan. He's experiencing a moment right now. He's really becoming well known. I think we have another question. Lauren, doubling up. She wants to know if you could have a lifetime supply of anything, what would it be?
man. Um,
Are you a sneakerhead? Would it be food, some sort of food? What are you
I
going?
like shoes, but would it be like one pair of shoes that have lifetime supply?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'd take just like I think they're like the most simple shoe, but white Air Force Ones, I feel like they go with everything. That's like one of my favorite shoes all time.
he is Grant Nelson. You'll be seeing him on the floor at or not Bryant Denny, inside Coleman Coliseum this year. Michael wants to know you're new, so I'm sure you've been working on it. Can you give us a roll tide roll?
Roll Tide roll.
Grant, man, safe travels back. Enjoy your time off before you get back to school, and thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Grant Nelson. I'm Aaron Suttles for another half-hour huddle. Thanks again. Remember, know before you go. Saturday, fan day, autograph line. No excuse for you not to know where to go and what time you need to be lined up and all that. Make sure you bring your sunscreen. It's going to be hot. We look forward to seeing you guys out in Bryant-Denny Stadium for a wonderful fan day. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back at you next Thursday for another half-hour huddle.